Hey guys, so welcome to lesson 1 of 8 of our nutrition lessons here at Delta Health and Performance. So in this video we're going to go through two things, okay? So the first is going to be our nutrition pyramid, and the second then is our 3 nutrition rules that we like to follow, okay? So let's take a look at the nutrition period here first, alright? So as you can see, there are a number of layers here, from adherence at the bottom to supplements at the top. Importance is based on the most important being at the bottom and getting less important as we move up the pyramid there as well. So we have adherence at the bottom, we have calories, we have macronutrients, which would be like your carbs, your fats and your proteins, and meal timings would be next, and then finally supplements then at the top then as well. So when in regards to supplements, they're often where people start to focus at where they're looking to get in shape. So it's one of the first things everybody looks at, when they actually make very little difference in terms of getting you results, okay? During this course and during the time at our gym, we're going to focus primarily on these bottom 3 layers of the pyramid, which is adherence, your calories, and your macronutrients. And these are going to be the 3 most important components of your nutrition protocol to make sure that you're moving the needle in the direction of the results that you want to achieve, okay? Alright. Okay, so the nutrition rules. So now that we know it's easy to get lost and confused with everything when it comes to nutrition, there are loads of conflicting information out there. Like everybody and their daughter on Instagram are giving you something different to go by. Okay, so one of the biggest things we'll do here is we'll try to make it as simple and as applicable for you as possible. Lots of people with different advice, so we'd like to make it nice and simple. Okay, that's what nutrition is about, and it's about simplicity. There are no fads, no crash diets, no dirty bulk, no weird supplements, and no restrictions. You want to be able to find something that you can have as part of your nutrition protocol, that you can literally go and do your day-to-day stuff without changing very much. So there's just a few simple, very effective guidelines that are easy to put into action and even easier to adjust to suit your goals, your personal preferences, and your lifestyle. It's important for us to get these nutrition rules right, because essentially getting your nutrition right so you can improve your strength, your body composition, your health, and your performance can be broken down into these 3 really simple nutrition rules. Rule number 1: 90% single ingredient food 90% of the time. Okay, this is what it looks like, and it means like having like stuff like steak, potatoes, peppers. They all have one ingredient, so you're not mixing things together. They're one single ingredient food. So having something like that for dinner instead of a ready meal packed with chemicals, preservatives, and who knows what else. Another way to phrase this could be just to eat real food, fresh, real food. And the reason we want to do this is because good quality nutrition gives us energy. It satisfies our hunger better, it improves our health, and there are loads of other benefits to this as well. So you want to aim to include lots of good quality, single ingredient foods, and not to have your diet dominated by junk food and processed stuff. Hope that all is pretty simple for you so far, folks. Okay, so rule number 2, be flexible 10% of the time. So you should definitely make sure that good quality whole foods dominate your daily food intake, so that you will feel the benefit for your health. That's why 90% of the time we want to stick to eating single ingredient foods as part of our meals, but the other 10% the time you can be flexible and pretty much eat whatever you want. Okay, so this would look like the top end of your pyramid here, just in front of us here, guys. So up here, it's okay to have donuts, it's okay to have some junk food, and it's okay to just enjoy some not so great food that you also love. Don't worry about having these things every now and again, and just make sure that they don't dominate your diet. They don't make up the majority of what you eat on a daily basis. When you do have them, they fit into your calorie targets for the day. So the beauty of this as well, guys, is that when we fit these into our calorie targets for the day, then we can still make progress on the results and why we started the gym and what we wanted to achieve. But we're just doing everything within our calorie targets then as well. So we're going to talk about calories and tracking food in a bit, but the reason we want them to fit into your calories is you don't massively overeat, because if you overeat, you consume too many calories, you're going to end up gaining unwanted body fat, which is not what we want. We want to make sure things are moving in the right direction for you. And we know that to lose body fat, you need to be in a calorie deficit, and this means consuming slightly less calories than our body is burning through our daily output. Then, to build muscle, we need to be in what's called a calorie surplus. So that's where we're going to be consuming slightly more calories and our body's burning, so that we can give our body the building blocks that it needs to grow muscle. But within those targets, we can be very flexible. We don't have to be on a clean eating diet all the time. We can have that 10% of flexibility. We're big advocates of this approach because it allows you to enjoy your life and not feel like you're on a restricted diet all the time. Also, it means you can go and have some ice cream when you go to the cinema with your partner, and you can eat some cake at your kid's birthday party without feeling guilty. But all of this is reliant on rule number 3. So now this is the most important one that we'll look at, and the most important thing in terms of nutrition when we're trying to get results. Rule number 3. Track your food intake and hit your targets. So macronutrients are the 3 main ones that we will look at. Will be your protein, will be your carbohydrates, and fats. Now, this is important. If you don't track, you can't possibly know if you're eating too little or if you're being consistent at all. Okay? And if you don't know that, then you can't realistically expect to get good long-term results. And this is what we're here for, and this is why we invested in the program, so that you can move the needle in the direction that we want to move it. Like I said, the main reason for tracking is to see if your nutrition targets that have been set by your coach are actually working. So the big thing with that, guys, would be that, okay, we can then adjust your calories to suit depending on how much energy you're burning on a daily basis. And by that I mean, is eating this much food helping your goal of building muscle or losing fat? We can adjust it. To start with, these targets from your coach are going to be an educated estimate. They're a starting point. So we want to make sure that you have enough energy after your in-body scan to make sure that you can train consistently, you're not getting overtired during the day, and you're making sure the results is moving in the right direction. But then when you check on your coach and get your measurements done, we can see that maybe you need to eat more, maybe need less, maybe make those adjustments. It's important to try and be accurate and consistent as possible, and you can do all this in an app called MyFitnessPal. Tracking your food allows us to monitor what you're eating, make adjustments in increasing or decreasing your calorie intake, so your progress never stops for too long. So, as well as sticking to rule number 1, 90% of single ingredient foods, make sure your meals have a variety of single ingredient foods. So you're not just eating the same thing all the time. You're also going to try and stick to rule number 3, which is to track your food intake and hit your calorie target every day, and make sure you're pretty flexible with this approach. so then it'll allow you to fit the foods that you enjoy as well. An important note is that you're never going to be spot on the exact gram or the exact calorie every single day, but a good level of accuracy is within 100 to 150 calories. So if your daily target is 2,500 calories, anywhere between 2,400 and 2,600 is actually a really good place to be. You're never going to be spot on the exact calories, but being in the right ballpark is definitely going to do the trick. So there are the 3 nutrition rules. We literally can't make it any simpler than that. This is the simplest approach that we have, and it allows us to get results. Now, it's not easy because there are lots of things that go into getting this right every day. There's lots of habits, lots of hard work, lots of consistency. But that is as simple and straightforward as nutrition can be broken down to in those 3 things. And the reason it's just 3 is because it's easy to understand. There's no complication in it. It's straightforward to put into action, and the most importantly, they work and they get the job done. They get results. And on top of that, this is a really important part. You won't ever feel like you're dieting, because that's flexibility. There's room to make some changes without feeling like you've fallen off the wagon. There's room to enjoy some of the foods that you love, but you wouldn't typically be classed as healthy. So it's just those 3 simple nutrition rules as a nice, easy start to your time with us. Rule number 1, single ingredient foods 90% of the time. Rule number 2, be flexible 10% of the time. Rule number 3, track your food and hit your targets as best as you possibly can. Now, just a couple of things that I want to add before we finish up here, guys. When you start tracking, you'll find it's a little bit tricky. So the first thing I want you to focus on is just hitting your calorie targets. Don't focus too much on your macros, carbs, protein, fats too much. Just hit your calorie targets, because that itself is probably going to be difficult to begin with. Then once you've nailed that, aim for your calories and your protein. Get those 2 things nailed down. So no matter if your goal is fat loss or your goal is muscle gain, then your calories and your protein is going to be the 2 biggest things. If you really do struggle with this and you're finding it tough, or maybe just completely new to tracking, a way to make it a bit easier is don't even worry about hitting specific calorie or macro targets. Just use an app, track your food, and seeing how much you're eating each day, and then we can tailor it from there. And once you feel comfortable with it, then you can go into tracking your calorie targets. Just get a feel for it as you go along. So like I said, 3 nutrition rules. Make sure these are the core of everything you do in terms of nutrition. Single ingredient foods 90% of the time. Rule number 2, be flexible 10% of the time. And rule number 3, track your food and hit your daily targets. I hope that helps, guys, and stay tuned and hope that you enjoy the rest of the nutrition lessons.